Hey everybody, Coach here. Welcome to this week's episode. This podcast is brought to you by Lowe's. Lowe's, the big blue box store where Maestro and I pretty much get everything that we need for Brook and Pond. It's just a little bit of a drive for us, about 40 miles, which isn't too bad. But everything that we've done here at Brook and Pond, we have gotten it from Lowe's. And most recently, Lowe's helped us out a little bit. Lowe's helped us out with a pressure washer and a shop vac, which by the time we got done with our backyard project, oh my God, the tractor needed pressure washing. The inside of the truck coming in and out in a dust situation, it definitely needed a vacuum. So we appreciate Lowe's very, very much. Thank you so much to Lowe's bringing us this particular episode, as well as those two new useful tools around here at Brook and Pond.
Hey friends, Maestro here. Please check out the description for this podcast, where you will find important links related to this video, as well as links to the website, discounts, and much more. Also, don't forget, Yard Coach now offers personalized consultations to help you get your project launched and completed, or just answer your specific landscaping questions on a personalized level. See the website at youryardcoach.com for more details. Now back to this week's episode.
Hey, anyway, thanks for joining me. I really appreciate it. We're doing a walkabout today, and the topic of this particular podcast is the way a homeowner, in my humble opinion, stays on top and out front of any sort of problems that might crop up is doing a walkabout. And I don't mean a walkabout like they do down in Australia or anything. Just a stroll about your exterior of your home, which is what I'm taking you along with me today. I do a walkabout probably, sometimes once a day. But most of the time it's about 3 or 4 times a week. And I have kind of a unique situation where if we have a storm, which we had a heck of a microburst thunderstorm here, I think it was Sunday. And yeah, I lost 8 more trees on the property. And I'm only living on 2.5 acres. So instantly that walkabout revealed some more work that I had to do. And so I was out the other day and I was bucking up some fir and some spruce trees and cleaning it up, and I've got another burn pile to go. But you know something? If you didn't go out and do a walkabout and you didn't pay attention to what's going on your property, no matter what size it is, sometimes things can get away from you. And oftentimes that's where, you didn't take a look at the gutters. You didn't see the ponding that's going on. You didn't notice the death of a particular plant. Like where I'm at on Brook and Pond right now, I'm coming out at least once a week and I'm inspecting the green giant arborvitae that I planted back at the end of April and put them over on the hillside on the backside of the house. And I'll tell you, they struggled for a little while. I'm not going to lie. I thought that I would say a 50-50 chance. What I thought was about 80-20, I downgraded it to 50-50. But with a little bit of TLC, some proper moisture given to them during a couple of hot days, which we generally don't get up too hot up here in northern Maine, but we were at 94 degrees, the hottest day that our particular county has ever seen, 94 degrees. And yeah, I was watering these guys once a day. I have fed them 3 times since their transplant. And hey, I think the worst is behind us. They are really starting to pop out now. They're starting to put on some new growth. I had to modify a couple of the leaders that died back. So the terminal leaders up top, they're doing okay. And I probably have about 2 inches, some places 3 inches of new growth coming out. So yeah, the worst is behind us. But this is all part of the walkabout, the inspection of your property. I'm looking right now at the new plantings that I did in the backyard over the course of the last 10 days or so. And I'm watching those every single day. Now today is kind of unusual. And by the way, happy 4th of July, 2024. of when I'm recording this, and we're talking about 65 degrees, cloudy with drizzle. And I talked to a family member not too long ago who's still out in Northern California. Yeah, it's 110 today, 110. And here we are sweltering at 65. But you know something, when you do landscape projects, you have to be able to follow up on them on a really regular basis. You can't just plug them in the ground and then jump on a plane and go to Fiji, which I had a customer do years and years ago. After I strongly suggested to them with an August installation, make sure you have someone or something monitoring these guys for the first 30 to 45 days. Yeah, sure, coach, whatever. And sure enough, they fiddled with the sprinkler timer and it never came on. And they came back from Fiji and found a brand new $45,000 landscape practically dead. And of course, what they want to do, they wanted to point the finger. And so I hurried on down there, found what the problem was. They never engaged the sprinkler system because they went in there and started fumbling around with it, trying to make it a custom setting after I put it on there, put it on the lawn on one program and the plants on another, certain amount of time when it was supposed to come on. Yeah, they just went in there and started messing with it and they screwed it all up. Anyway, I had to go back in and replant, not at my expense in any way, shape, or form, and took care of them. But there's a shining example if you don't pay attention. So on my walkabout today, the very first thing I do is I looked at the arbs over there on the hillside. I'm out back right now looking at the boulder island that we planted up, and everything is doing good except for one hosta. One hosta kind of is bleaching out just a little bit, but I think it's one of the primary leaves that came out in the beginning of spring, and it's the older leaves, and I think they're starting to fade because the new ones that are emerging are still that bluish gray color, bluish green gray color. So I'm not too worried about those. They're still all upright and everything is perky. Nothing seems to be wilty. Nothing seems to be struggling. And that's what my walkabout inspections do here. Now, not everybody lives on 2.5 acres. There are some of you that live on a lot more than 2.5 acres. And this particular piece of property demands my attention in a certain way. It's, I kind of lovingly refer part of this 2.5 acres to Jurassic Park, because stay out of the tall grass, you know, that kind of thickness of vegetation here, that if you don't stay on it, it'll just outgrow you. It'll become a jungle like when we first moved in last fall. And so I punch it, it punches back. I punch it a couple of times and it punches back once. And eventually I'm punching 3 and 4 times and I've got the upper hand. And that's where I want to keep it. I don't want to be a slave to my property. I just want to be, I don't know, I just kind of want to be the king of my castle and make sure the castle kind of looks good all the time. Is that possible? Yeah, you know, the thunderstorm that came through here, it blew some stuff around. It really did. I had a bunch of seed trays on a 6x6 ledge, and the winds that came through took the seed trays and literally picked them up and threw them over the hillside down towards the pond. It was actually kind of scary in a way. So, hey, I got to replant the seed trays. I was hoping to get some perennial flowers starting and maybe planted this summer, early fall, so I could have some landscape diversity besides the green tapestry that is everywhere by this time next year. But now I got to get back on it. So as part of my mental punch list, I say, okay, I got to plant up some seed trays. I look at my boulder island, everything seems to be good. I look at the tractor's covered up. I look underneath, I have no oil leaks. I check the oil on the tractor. I split a few logs that are still here at the wood pile so I can get them drying out. I got about 2.5 to 3 cord of hardwood for the winter, and about the same, maybe a little less of softwood that's all split up. And I probably have another dozen rounds that I got to split up later today. So that's part of my, my punch list. And this is how, in my opinion again, this is how you stay ahead of problems and you stay ahead of the game. So let's use a hypothetical. Maybe you're on a 65 by 100 foot, suburbia lot, and it's not a whole lot to go out and look at. Well, in that case, just break it up a little bit. You don't have to do it every day like the neurotic nut that I am. You can go out on a Saturday morning maybe, if you have the weekends off. Take a cup of coffee, stroll around, look at everything, see what's blooming. Maybe you have something that needs deadheading, something that'll take you 5 minutes. Maybe the lawn needs mowing, or maybe you had somebody come in and mow it, but maybe does it need feeding? It's supposed to be 110 today. How's the moisture level? Because at 110 degrees, you can lose stuff in a matter of an hour. You can get root zones burned, root balls literally dry out in a matter of minutes, and they do not recover. Remember, a stressed out plant has a very hard time taking water. It's kind of like when you're sick, you don't have much of an appetite sometimes. You just kind of lounge around and survive the illness that you have. Plants are kind of the same thing. You will have situations where they are super stressed, they're wilted, their root zone has dried out, or they've been exposed to extreme heat. They will go into a semi-dormancy very, very fast, and hopefully they'll get through the adversity that they face. And when they start to come out of that adversity is when their metabolic system kicks back in, and they start uptaking water, and they do all their photosynthesis, and they do everything. So keep in mind, if you have the old dog days of summer here in July and August and early September, make sure you keep an eye on the root zones. Do a double knuckle check, dig down in and around. Make sure that your mulch layer is nice and thick, a minimum of 2 inches, 3 inches. Don't make a mulch volcano up around the trunks of your plants and trees. You don't need that. But definitely a good layer of mulch. I can look at the boulder island right now. It's wet on top because we had rain overnight. So I can pull that mulch back away a little bit, look at the ground itself, and I can see that there's moisture right on top. And I know full well that there's plenty of moisture down around the root zones of the gallon can plants that I planted, and certainly the 10-gallon birch trees that I put in the ground. So there's another little thing on the walkabout for me today, and that was yesterday we were down at Lowe's. Thanks again to Lowe's. And we picked up off the 50% off carts some Speedwell perennials, Veronica spicata. And they were, how should I say? They had seen better days. They probably came in looking just stupendous, and then they were probably put in a little too much shade, and the flowers stretched, and then they died, and then the plants got watered, but they're not in full sun like they wanted to, so they started to die at the base. I walked in there and saw those, and I went, yeah, deadheading, thinning, and nip and tuck here and there. And I'm looking at 5-gallon can plants that I got for a little over $20. That's 50% off. They were almost $11 full price. And I came home, cleaned them all up, gave them a good feeding. I dunked them in some half-strength Miracle Grow. And they're going to go on the boulder island up around the salvia and some other of the perennials. And I think they were a good find. But today I'm coming out and looking at them, and no worse for wear. One has a little bit of powdery mildew. Actually, the best looking plant has a little bit of powdery mildew on its upper leaf surface, which is a true indication that they were stuck in the shade and overhead watered, and they just never dried out. And that's why Veronica does not tolerate that stuff very much. But at a zone 4B where we're at here, I know that they're right on the cusp of their winter threshold. This one here is the mauve Moody Blues. Yep. Mauve Moody Blues. Boy, you say that 10 times fast. And I'm going to give them about a week or so right here in the containers, let them kind of recover, and then I'm going to get them in the ground. So one more thing on the punch list. You know, walking around, I'm trying to look for my next project after this Boulder Island landscaping thing. And it's going to be one of two things. It's either going to be the 10 by 12 deck out here overlooking the pond, or it's going to be doing a corner island, moving some boulders, backfilling behind the boulders on the uphill side, and getting some plants in over there. And I'm not sure exactly which one to do, because the boulders I have to use right now, I don't think the John Deere 755 is going to be able to move them. I think they're going to be a little too heavy. If I could just get them just a little bit off the ground, just 2 inches off the ground without tipping the John Deere, I would be able to move them. But I might have to have Kyle come back with the excavator and have him move them just a little bit. We'll have to see. I'm going to play with that later today. Then I took a walk down the driveway, and walking down my driveway here at Brook and Pond is an immersion into what looks like a rainforest. There is ferns and grasses and sedges and second growth maple and all kinds of stuff. It's very, very dense. And with the wind that came through, it wind whipped a lot of stuff. The driveway's covered in leaf matter, and I got to get out there and clean that up a little bit. And then I'm right at the rain spot that we got yesterday. It couldn't have come at a better time because of the warmer temps. We were in the low 80s the past 2 or 3 days, and the lawn got a very good drink. But I'm finding something wrong with my ride-on mower. And maybe you guys can email me and tell me what to do about it, because I'm not really well versed on ride-on mowers. I have a pretty good wrap around walk behinds, but what I've looked at is I have a very uneven cut. And what I've been able to read about and watch, it seems like the deck is a little out of balance, which I tried to rebalance it, both front and side to side. I checked my air pressure, but I'm still getting a cut that is down on one side. I'm wondering if I've got a bent blade. Maybe something's wrong with one of the blades. So that's a 20-minute walkabout today. And you can see all the things that I've already identified from yesterday's walkabout that I need to address and I need to take care of. And they're not huge projects. They're actually little chores, most of them, and then making a decision one way or another to whether go with the deck or go with the corner planting. It's kind of fun for me. It keeps my brain at 65 years old, it keeps it active. It keeps me thinking about what the problem-solving strategies for this is. I know one thing that we did this past week is I took our little 12-foot tow-behind trailer, the cargo trailer that we used to tow around the country behind the truck and camper, and I made a trailer pad for it out of gravel. I put down some 1-inch crush and I wheel rolled that, and then I put stone dust over the top of it, put the tires up on 2x8 short pieces of wood and chalked it, and now it's a very deliberate parking space that's very accessible for the truck or the truck and camper. And it was just a little hour and a half, 2-hour project. And it got me out and got me working, being physical, doing the kind of stuff that I enjoy doing. So I don't know how you guys are as far as motivation and getting stuff written down. And that's the biggest thing, is if you write it down, you will make it happen 90% of the time. A punch list right on the fridge, a punch list on the garage door where you come into the house every night. Put it on your steering wheel of your vehicle so you don't forget it. And it is very, very useful in order to get things done. And that way they never, ever, they don't run away with you. and you don't go out there one day and go, holy heck, what the heck happened to my yard? Well, how did the siding suddenly start falling off one side of my house? It's because you've looked at it, you've identified a problem, you identified the solution, and you jumped on it and got it done. In these days of summer, I implore you, for any part of your greenscape, is to monitor, and adjust your watering according to that weather. Not only today's weather, but look at the weather forecast and what is coming up. Do you need to bump up a couple of minutes on each zone for your turf or your drip lines for your planter beds? It's something that you cannot take the eye off the ball, because as soon as you do, Mother Nature is going to try to smack you around a bit. So with that, I invite you to come over to the YouTube channel. Visually walk around brook and pond with me just a little bit, and I'll show you some of these things with more of a visual aspect of it, obviously. But I cannot thank you enough for just tuning in and listening to my ramblings and how I kind of approach my property, my landscape, my greenscape, what is necessary to do, and how to stay out in front of it so you're never in a reactionary mode. And because you're not, you're able to do new things. You're able to proactively start a project and not have to worry about something falling apart that you really should be paying attention to. And I think you'll enjoy the landscape, you'll enjoy your property, and you'll certainly enjoy all the pride that comes with keeping up on the property you pay so much money for every month and take care of. And hopefully there's a sense of pride, not only for you, if you're the only one that takes care of it, or both of you, and your kids as well. When they have friends over and stuff, they know darn well that mom and dad take care of the place really nice, and it's a place to kind of show off. If you guys have any questions, you can always email me, youryardcoach@gmail.com. If you're stuck in a particular way to get something going or to fix something landscape-wise, feel free to reach out. I'm always there, and I'll answer every single one that comes in. I appreciate your time. As always, to your landscape success, I will catch up with you next week. Hey, happy 4th of July. This country needs all the help it can get right now, and I think we'll get it. We'll get it back again really soon. Guys, take care. Bye for now.